Good day everyone, I'm Jossalynna Añonuevo, and in this video you will learn about key terms and concepts in managing and implementing standard-based grammar such as 1. Grammaring, 2. Grammaticalization, 3. Error correction versus feedback, 4. Spoken versus written grammar, 5. Grammatical, and 6. Pedagogical issues. Before we start, make sure you have your pen and a pad to take down notes on important words that will not be appeared on the presentation.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. No, just kidding. Hey guys, this is Suharto and I'll be discussing about the word grammaring. Grammaring was coined by Diane Larson Freeman, and just a little bit background about her. She is an applied linguist and an American linguist as well. And also, she is currently a professor emerita in the University of Michigan at Ann Arbor, Michigan. Most of her works focus on the second language acquisition, English as a second or foreign language, teaching education, and actually just about the language as to how an individual really deals with um, learning it. But she is renowned for her work on the complex or dynamic system approach to second language development. Going back, so Larson Freeman, for her, grammaring is about to convey the dynamic nature of the grammar learning process. But what does that mean? As how I understand it from Larson Freeman's perspective, grammaring is about on how a person properly use the English language in communicating with one another. So it's the consciousness and using your own construction of the words, on how to use it and how to properly use it, like that. But this leads as to how Larson Freeman sees this word grammaring, which is the ability to use grammar structures accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. How are we going to embody this particular ability that Larson Freeman is talking about with grammar? So there are practical activities that focus on developing the grammaring skills of a person, and there are three categories on it that was specified as well by Larson Freeman. First, we have to focus on form, which falls off with the idea that in our case, that our students should be able to form their construction of words. Actually, it starts off with the words for this particular category, which is in the form. So we may need to actually have them hone their skills with regards to the words. So most of the activities that we can give them or we can engage them into should be about the words. For this particular category, we do have handful of activities that we can share or engage our future students with. So first we have the last man standing. So this activity, we should be able to have a ball, and once a specific student, or you can start it with you and then try to make this ball throw at someone or some of your students, and when that particular students caught the ball, he or she may need to have a word that is associated to the theme that you're trying to build with on that particular activity. So we have here the Pictionary. So this one, it can be associated with the game that we have before. It is the 4 picks one word, so you may need to have pictures that will associate one word. We do have here charades word game. So I do believe that we are all familiar with this one. So it's self-explanatory. We are trying to let someone or somebody, group of people, guess a specific word without telling the exact word. So if you're the word game called taboo, so I do believe some of us really aren't that particular with this one, but just to let you know that taboo is also somewhat like the charades game, because in the taboo you may need to have someone to determine specific word or let someone guess about it, or group of people guess about it without telling the right exact meaning of it. So when we say let's say the word is English, so you don't say language. If you're the one that is letting someone or some group of people guess the word, you may need to use words that is associated only on the specific word of English. Like we are using this to communicate, like that. So people would say language, um, cell phones, like that, but they may need to really actually um, guess the word English. So we are now done with the category of form. The next one we have here is the focus on the meaning. After choosing the appropriate words to our statements, we may need to find the real meaning to it. So we don't just like put in words together without the real meaning of it, without the appropriate meaning of it. So that is what Larson Freeman is trying to tell us, that in grammaring we may need to have the form be appropriate and as well as the meaning of it, and can be understood by someone else. That's what Larson Freeman is trying to tell us on this particular category. For the activities that we can actually put engage our future students into, I do have here one activity that I can suggest, which is the human anatomy. Two groups are equally divided into 5 members. So each group has a theme to speak about. So here's the thing: when the game starts, the first group to perform will have the theme that they will be explaining. So one word per student. The group that has the right and the appropriate use of words and the meaning of it will be the winner. So if the group has like 30 words and then the other one has only 29 words, but the group that has 30 words doesn't really have that kind of real meaning to it, but the one that has 29 words has the best explanation for what love is, that would be the winner for this particular activity. So we're now done with the focus on the meaning, and the last category that we have here is the focus on the use. In this one, we are now trying to communicate with one another. So the use of the both things, which are the words and the meaning, and then the actual communication. So when we say actual communication, it is about how we socialize ourselves with one another, and the activity that we can associate with this particular category is role playing. This one, the third category really focuses on the application of the first and the second category, and it sums up all of the grammaring skills that we should be able to apply to ourselves and as well as to our students. So in role playing, actually it will tell the people on how we really communicate with one another. It will let ourselves know what are the factors that we should improve on with regards to how we socialize. What now if we are able to have all of these 3 categories embodied to ourselves? After that, we can now assess ourselves if we already embodied this ability that Larson Freeman is talking about, which is grammaring, that's correct. After my discussion about grammaring, we are bound to be able to socialize with appropriate use of words, meaning, and appropriate way of communication. So we're now going to the next topic. Thank you for listening, guys.
Hi, good morning everyone, and I'm here Baisa Amito to report to the topic of grammaticalization. Grammaticalizing, or the process of grammaticalization, refers to the result of process that turn lexemes into grammatical formatives. It is restricted to the result rather than the process, and not perhaps only refers narrowly to the lexeme, grammatical formative development, and not pragmatic syntactic type of change result. Thus, it creates new function words by a process other than deriving them from existing bound. Inflectional constructions instead deriving them from content words. For example, the Old English verb willan, to want or to wish, has become the modern English auxiliary verb will, which expresses intention or simply futurity. Some concepts are often grammaticalized, while others, such as evidentiality, are not so much. In historical, linguistic, and language change grammaticalization, also known as grammaticalization or grammaticization. It is a process of language change by which words presenting objects and actions, for example, nouns and verbs, became grammatical markers, which is affixes, preposition, etc. Declines of grammaticality, cycles of categorical downgrading. In the process of grammaticalization, an inflected lexical word or content word is transformed into a grammar word or function word. The process by which the word leaves its word class and enters another is not sudden, but occurs by a gradual series of individual shifts. The overlapping stages of grammaticalization form a chain, generally called cline. These shifts generally follow similar patterns in different language. Linguists do not agree on the precise definition of a cline or on its exact characteristics in given instances. It is believed that the stages on the cline do not always have a fixed position but vary. However, Hopper and Trogot's famous pattern for the cline grammaticalization illustrates the various stages of the form. The various stages of the form is content word, grammatical word, clitic, and inflectional affix. This particular cline is called the cline of grammaticality, or the cycle of categorical downgrading, and it is a common one. In this cline, every item to the right represents a more grammatical and less lexical form than one to its left.
Hi! Today, we're going to tackle about error correction and feedback. In teaching the language, there are different types of approach that are used. Let us define what audiolingualism is. Audiolingualism aims to promote mechanical habit formation through repetition of basic patterns. Dialogues and drills are central to the approach. In audiolingualism, errors of language learners are not allowed. It is considered as a sin. They are not allowed to make errors while learning. And next, we have error approach. In error approach, the language learner's error are very useful as a strategy for learning a language. Did you see the difference? In error approach, it simply tells us that our errors should be corrected. Being aware and self-correcting our errors let learners improve. In error approach, an error is a great part of learning. Do not be confused between error approach and error correction. They have the same idea, but error approach is the idea or the belief that an error is needed in learning, and it is inevitable. It is an integral part of learning. While the error correction, it is the act of correcting the error. It is performed by the teacher, and it's performed too by the students or the learners to review their mistakes and letting them to be aware of it. The approach has its 11 main aspects. Number 1, define what a mistake is. A mistake is a misuse of the rules that has already been studied and exercised. It is not a misuse of something that has not been discussed or exercised. And number 2, make sure the assignments contain only the material that has been thoroughly studied and exercised in class. And this will prevent the chance of having the students commit a lot of mistakes in their works. And number 3, change the assignment's instructions to include self-check as its integral part. For example, please compose 10 sentences describing your day. Check your composition using the provided checklist. In that, the learner will be responsible for checking it and recognizing their own errors. Number 4, provide a checklist of the typical mistakes. For example, a checklist in grammar, capital letters, punctuation, the use of time expressions, and the spelling. Number 5, provide any visual materials that can improve mistakes correction, such as charts, tables, pictures, and lists. It will help you to easily correct. And number 6, encourage using colorful markers and special editing signs. Colorful markers has always been a big help in reviewing, highlighting important things. And number 7, refuse to grade papers that have not been yet self-checked. Number 8, structure reference materials such as grammar rules, vocabulary, and etc. These materials will help you to easily access the things or answers that you need. Number 9, do not highlight mistakes in the material the student has not yet studied as mistakes, but rather as suggestions. For example, I cannot to read. It is a mistake, but you should write it as no to after can. Number 10, always discuss corrections. Encourage them to explain and expound their answers. For example, she is read the book is wrong. Are you sure it is wrong? The student will say yes, and then you will say, please explain, so that they can practice their reasoning skills. Number 11, the last one. In your final error check, highlight mistakes, provide suggestions, and create a list of repeating mistakes. Give them an exercises for the points that you think they misunderstood and they have their repeating mistakes. Add some extra points to serve as a motivation in correcting the work. Feedback. A feedback in cognitive and behaviorist view, it is seen as contributing to a language learning. And in structural and communicative approach, it is seen as a means of fostering learner motivation and ensuring linguistic accuracy. Remember that a feedback can be positive or negative. A positive feedback affirms that a learner response to an activity is correct. However, according to SLA or second language acquisition, a positive feedback may be confusing because a good or a yes does not always mean that something is correct. And the negative feedback is corrective. And with that, we have corrective feedback. A corrective feedback is any teacher behavior following an error that minimally attempts to inform the learner of the fact of error. A corrective feedback can be oral or written. But corrective feedback doesn't always apply all the time. It has its timing. For example, in a written corrective feedback, it can be delayed because you have to read the outputs so that you will see their errors. But in oral corrective feedback, you can choose between correcting them immediately or delay the correction. And because in corrective feedback we need its timing, we have key points to consider in doing corrective feedback. Number 1, timing of feedback. Number 2, collaborative or direct feedback.
Good day everyone, I'm Jossalynna Añonuevo and we will discuss about spoken versus written grammar. Language as speech is intuitive, which means based on what one feels to be true even without conscious. 2. Natural, dynamic, evanescent means fading or being quickly fading, situated, depending on place or position. And next, language as writing is desituated, requiring for time planning, organizing, composing, editing, and revising. As simple as you need to check every detail. Spoken discourse typically reflects more interactive and interlocutor involving features of grammar, which mean you're using it in your socializing. Written discourse typically exhibits features that more content central and message coherent. Simple as written is commonly used direct on specific message or content you're writing with. According to Andrea of World Teacher Blogspot, there are two parts of spoken grammar. Number 1 is form or syntax, and number 2 is function. Example of this is the word though or although. Though has two meanings. As a form, though can be used at the very end of a sentence. As a function, though resume a conversation which has been interrupted. So all in all, speech and writing are distinctly different manifestation of language.
Grammatical assessment, assessing grammar. Grammar is essential to language description and test taker performance. Today, the knowledge of grammar is evaluated by its correct use in communication, through listening, speaking, reading, and writing in second language. Communicative competence has four components: grammatical, social-linguistic, discourse, and strategic competence. Grammatical knowledge consists of three elements: grammatical forms, or the structure of language. The grammatical meaning consists of both the literal and the intended message of its conveyed by the form. The pragmatic meaning, used in given context, but implied meaning received from the appropriate language choices a learner make in a given event. Designing assessment tasks, selected response. Multiple choice tasks. Multiple choice tasks used in images as choice option, like blank or underline words in a sentence. Discrimination tasks determining how to decipher between the two. For example of it is the true or false. Noticing tasks, consciousness raising tasks, or common noticing activity is to underline the target language in the text. Limited production. Gap fill is a practice exercise in which learners have to replace words missing from a text. It is often used to practice specific language points, for example, items of grammars and vocabulary and features of written text such as conjunction. Short answer tasks do not have a generic structure. Question may require answers such as complete the sentence, apply the missing word, short descriptive, diaphragms, and explanation, etc. The answer is usually short from one word to a few lines. Dialogue sentence, for example, I love chocolates. My friend said. Note that the only words spoken aloud by the friend are the quotation marks. The informative tag and the end is not part of what he said. So it does not get quotation mark. Extended production, 5-point scale. Give responded of a range of option. A survey question for students often used to Likert scale to measure their opinion, attitudes on topic. Information gap task is a spot the difference activity. For their example, are students sharing information to complete a class timetable. Role playing is defined as pretending to be someone or pretending to be in specific situation that you are not actually in at the time. Assessing vocabulary. Tokens refers to the total number of words in a text, regardless of how often they are repeated. Types do not count words that are repeated, only words that are different forms. For example, is a good wine is a wine that you like. It is contains of 9 tokens, but they are only 7 because the 2 is types. What I mean is, if you consider to count the word in a sentence, the good wine is a wine that you like, the word and wine is repeated. So it considered a type. So there are 7 tokens and 2 types. Function word and content word. Content word is an open class, noun, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. And content parts of speech. Function word are words that exist to explain or create grammatical or structural relation into which the contents word may fit. And some vocabulary tests might focus larger on lexical items, such as phrasal verb, compound, or idioms, which means a whole unit. 4 types of lexical phrases. Polywords are short, usually 2 or 3 words, phrases which are obvious units. Institutionalized expression are formulation and discursive voices of fixed character who are in use in the communicative, very stereotyped situation. Types of categories. Short, hardly grammaticalized utterance. For example, not yet, certainly not, just a moment. Sentence, head, or frames. Pragmatic purpose. Example is that's all, very well, but. Full sentences, identifiable pragmatic meaning, and easily recognized. For example of this is, it reminds me of, I see what you mean. Phrasal constraint are medium-length phrases that basic structure with 1 or 2 slots that can be filled by various words or phrases. Sentence builders. Phrases that provide the framework for the complete sentence with 1 or 2 slots when whole ideas can be expressed. Defining lexical knowledge. 3 components of Chapel's vocabulary. 1. The context of vocabulary use. 2. Vocabulary knowledge and fundamental processes. Metacognitive strategies for vocabulary use. Some consideration in designing assessment tasks is clarifying your purpose, define your construct, select your target word, determine mode of performance, receptive and productive vocabulary. Receptive vocabulary. First, it is important to consider what role the context plays in the item. One function of the context is to indicate a specific meaning of a high-frequency word. Second, the learner must be able to recognize the word based on a given context. Vocabulary in one sentence context, high-frequency word. Vocabulary in one sentence context, low-frequency word. Vocabulary matching exercise, word association, defining assessment, productive vocabulary. A common vocabulary test type is sentence completion, where the target vocabulary item is deleted from a sentence, and the test taker must understand the context in which the word occurs in order to produce the missing word. For example, of this is the fill in the blanks, selective um, deletion clause. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Today, I'm going to discuss pedagogical issue. So, first, what comes into your mind when you hear the word pedagogy? According to my research, pedagogy is the study of how knowledge and skills imparted in an educational content. It also has a central role to play in learning process. Pedagogical concern learning from lesson plan to approaches to teaching, even how the classroom looks. The best example of pedagogical is where the student and teachers produce work and learning together. So now, let's proceed to pedagogical issue. So what do we know? First, teachers' role need to change. It is not the only problem. Maybe the teacher is not effective or his teaching style need to change. Next, some of activities are more successful than others. It's based from the interest of the student. For example, the the subject is about grammar. It is hard for them to understand so that the teacher, the educator, should choose the best activities that will help them to motivate, to learn, and to participate. Next, teachers can be reluctant due to previous technological problem. So, I one of the reason that the teacher is unwilling to learn, unwilling to teach, is because it's hard for them to learn, to accept, to adapt the new teaching method, and they are they are not really equipped, skilled in using technology. Number four, culture has led teachers to reluctant to innovate because it's hard to change the people, the the way how people live, the way they practice, and I know that I be I feel that the teacher it's hard for the teacher to approach those people. Number five, teachers listen to other teachers. Listening is very important. They share information, they share advices that will help you to improve and develop. Number six, teachers involved in large scale project share best practice. So educational technology is popular nowadays because in education, technology is very important. We use it in online teaching, in our online class, and some of them use it in the work. So, and number seven, activities involving and learning engage learners for learning. Oh, so what is learning? According to my research, learning is mobile learning. It is a form of device that we use in education, in online class, and other in research, in searching some information that uh, regarding from their topic or from their school. Next, what more do we need to know? First, how to help teachers plan for meaning. So, we all know that teachers has a lesson plan. These are their Learning standard. It is a written form, general, objectives clearly defined, and also has activities. Next, why do some activities success more than others? Because some of the students are hesitate to participate in the activity because of their ability to learn. And some of the students are has a strong motivation and positive attitude. Next, what characteristic do they share? A great, a great teacher is warm, accessible, enthusiastic, and caring, so that the teacher and the student can develop a good relationship. It, and also it gives a positive attitude for both of them. Next, how to access and record learning journey. For me, to record learning journey by writing it, by sharing to your family, to your friends, to others, because they will become your witness of your success, and they they will adapt, or they will also learn from the learning experiences that you have encountered. Next, which theories of learning apply? So there are five theories. There are five educational learning theories that the educators can utilize, and it can help them in their classroom environment, uh, to enhance their classroom environment. So first, the cognitive, the behaviorism, the connectivism, the constructivism, and humanism. Next, how to future proof. So we need to demonstrate adaptability to adjust, because we are now in the technological era. We need to be equipped, we need to be skilled to use those technology. And now, let's proceed to what do we need to do and can do about it. Number one, a convincing research project. So, to know the problem, to solve the problem, we need to research. We need to know the root of the problem, so that we can solve them, to to have to improve those problem, to solve it, so that we can have a better, um, to improve that project and to help to our learning. Next, provide opportunities for the teachers. So give time for their family, for their friends, for their teachers or co-teachers to talk, to communicate, so that they they are they will enjoy the way they're teaching. And also give the give the give the needs of the teacher, especially their salary. Next, listen to the student. So we are now in this pandemic, so we all know that it was hard for us, and some of the students can't afford to buy new mobile phones, provide load, so that other students try to work to support their study. And I believe and I know that the teachers will understand the situation of the student today. Next, move away from such narrow definition of academic success. Academic success is very important. We need to learn more, because learning is continual. And it helps to have a better life,
and a better future. Next, embed M-learning with university teaching. So, we need to adapt, we need to insert those mobile learning in our teaching because it helps to connect, to communicate easily to our student so that we can share the information even they are far from us. And last, professional development for teachers and lecturers. So, we need to give also we need to give the teachers the opportunity to 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 study again, to learn more, so that it will help them to improve the classroom environment, and also it helps to implement a new strategy. Thank you for listening and God bless.